I really want us to share who's inspired us in the Black community. Let's probably look at the Black British community. Do we have any names that we can mention that you think has been an inspiration? Can we also look outside the UK Black British heritage, and then maybe look at the Caribbean and the African space? Obviously, we started off by saying we're not looking at the American space today, so let's sort of limit it to the UK, Caribbean, the African space.
I'm trying to think outside of the musical sports world, which is kind of where my brain goes to immediately. But I am going to start with the football thing, actually, because that was also an area that was predominantly white. Yeah. Not only the players but the fans. Again, black person going to a football match in the 1970s. Trust me, that was not a safe space. Yeah. Wow. And then along came 3 black players playing for the same team. You'd get 1 black player every now and again playing a team. 3 black players playing for the same team. Wow. Now, I can't explain, when you see how many black players there are in the Premier League now, you cannot imagine how big a deal this was, Laurie Cunningham, Cyril Regis and Brendan Batson all played for a team called West Bromwich Albion near Birmingham. That was immense. As a black person watching football, even if you didn't like West Bromwich Albion, as a black person, they were your team. Because there were 3 black players. And that started a revolution, really, in football. And started a different conversation about black players and the respect that they earned, not just from the black community, but from white fans as well. Now they suffered the terrible racist abuse from fans, but they were pioneers, and I'm going to call those 3 guys out.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Because I
get asked this question quite a lot.
I know.
Thank you. I always go to my mum. I work here. Look, I think that I'll be really honest. For me, if I look at my industry, there is no one that's senior, well-known black person that I'm just like, yes, I want to. There just isn't, sadly. But I look at kind of wider names within the industry. If I look at fashion, right, someone like Edward and Info, right, and what he's done. So it was a white, and I know this because I know the family personally and him personally. Everyone was white where he was, and to be the youngest fashion editor as a black African man. So I would say, him. I think there's someone like Denta. I think Denta has done amazing things for recognition of the African community.
That's right.
So, I think there are a number of names. I think, all of these guys have and are paving the way as well. So we're now seeing, there's a black editor, I think, in Marie Claire. So we're now seeing a lot more of that. So I think, there are some of the older school, David Ajay, all of those people who have really paved the way for us and generations to come. But I wouldn't say there's one person that I think of and I was like, do you know what, you've really paved the way for me, because I think the industry that I operate in, that's kind of yet to happen. Right. So, someone I know personally, and I was with him yesterday on a panel, and he started his own agency. He's in his mid-20s, a black man. He started his own agency, comms agency. You don't see that. So for me, I think there are definitely those who are kind of rising in the ranks. And I'm really excited about the future of what the creative industry we're seeing, in music, in fashion, we're seeing in other areas. And I think it's just going to naturally filter through to the ad world, the communications world. So I'm excited about future talent that's rising, and there are many of them who are coming, and hopefully there'll be many more.
And obviously social media is helping them amplify their voices much better.
Absolutely helping them. I mean, right now, everyone's their own communications expert, right?
I mean, that's the thing that's changed, I think, immensely, that we don't need those old established structures because there are numerous black voices out there now that don't need the platform of a white or organisation or one of the established things. So I think that's really exciting.
For me, I'm gonna come with. I know everyone's coming like with sort of a media, sports, whatever. I'm gonna come with a music approach because from my age growing up, I would say one thing that definitely helped in terms of bringing people from different backgrounds together was always music. So one of the things that I would say is like I would definitely say for Black History Month, from a music perspective, I would like to put the grime scene on this because I feel like for my age and how we were growing up, like watching videos and seeing people like Skepta come through, Jeremy, Gets, Gigs, etc. Like those, what they were rapping about, what they were putting in their music was one where it was kind of like they were passing on the message of the lives like a lot of Black people were living in their areas, in their wherever they came from, and people would listen to that, and it will bring a bond together with people from different backgrounds or whatever, listen to that music and they can understand exactly what's going on. So them just being able to speak about their struggles as a youth, living in London, what's going on around their town, just being able to spread that message, I feel like it got to a point where with my friends or people that were from different backgrounds and stuff like that, we had a common factor where we could kind of have a conversation. Then that leads to you getting them to know about me, but me getting to know about them, because all it takes is us sharing a song. Like we were in the age of MP, like LimeWire, MP3 downloading. So it would be, oh, have you listened to that new freestyle by this person or this new song? And like, no, I haven't. And they go listen to it. So for me, I feel like they need to be celebrated because I know a lot of these names are fairly like new and they're very modern and they're still very young. But I feel like for me, they really like put the message out there of what it means to be Black, living in London. And with some of the stuff they're doing now, you can see like, if you speak about the future, you can see people like Dave coming through, for example. He's a perfect example. As you can see what he did like in the Brits with his performance and keeping and spreading that message. Stormzy, for example, still pushing that same mantle. And it's also become a successful career for other Black people, because when they started, they weren't making as much money as some of the future people coming in now. So I'm very like music like heavy. Like I love listening to music. I produce music, I make music. I'll definitely say music definitely does that. Like music kind of makes people it makes people understand the culture even if they don't necessarily understand. Because like sometimes, for example, like have you ever heard a song and you don't know what they're saying, but you can feel the soul and the passion, and you can feel the relatability. Like one song that I always say is Premier Gao. I never knew the song was about heartbreak. I never knew what the lyrics were. So I never knew the song was. The song sounds so like exciting, and a lot of people don't know the lyrics or what they're saying, but the feeling of the music, the beat, there's just an energy in it that shows the culture and where they're from. And like I said, you wouldn't even think that the song's about someone being heartbroken. Like, going through a bad...
I'm never going to sing it again. I didn't even know what they were saying anyway.
But to be honest, in the song, he's kind of saying that now he's made it. So basically, he's kind of stunts on the girl a bit, because it's like, you broke up with me when I had no money. Now I have money. Now I have money. Basically, don't come back. That's kind of what the song is.
Because the video, they're celebrating, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like the celebration. So I'd say music definitely it spreads culture. There's something about music just brings. It's like a language that people just understand. It's like a universal language. So, fashion, for example, like it's definitely a big thing. Like now to wear tracksuits is not really seen that bad as it used to be. Like it used to be growing up. But for a lot of people living in those communities, it was the easiest, quickest thing you could wear. Tracksuit, trainers, comfortable, easy. You can go about what you're doing. But now you can see how like music and like people using music to speak about the messages and culture is kind of transcended, and people are now doing that. Even same with African wear, like how popular like African music, Afrobeats, for example, has pushed further. You're now seeing people dress in different ways, like even down to football, like the Nigerian kits. I couldn't even get the Nigerian kit, and I'm seeing people that are not that is a bad thing, but I'm seeing people that are not Nigerian from different backgrounds wearing the kit. So so there's this sort of thing through like media that kind of like mixed culture, I guess easily digestible for people that are not from that culture to understand it and appreciate it.
For me, just probably going to be very quick, but I'd say just anyone who is able to be vocal about their faith and also exist in quote unquote secular spaces as well. And I think that's something that is quite rare with people being bold. Okay, you know, I am a person of faith, I am Christian, but then also, you know, really killing it when it comes to producing or, you know, so the likes of Stephanie EK, she's a pastor, but she's also, you know, a producer as well, I think for Tyler Perry Studios, but don't quote me on that. And then also Sophia Thakur as well, she's a poet, but she's also a person of faith, and she's been very vocal about that. So I think it inspires me, because that's a huge part of who I am and how I, you know, how I think, why I do what I do, how I, you know, how I see, how I move. So yeah, it's great to see that, even if it isn't as much, but it's still enough for me to say, you know, this is happening, and there's people that are.
Just that, would you also add that people like this have also influenced the way now brands are communicating? Because we are seeing brands now paying attention, like you said, to Afrobeats, paying attention to people of faith, things like that. So what would you say on that then?
I haven't seen, I guess, I don't know if we're speaking about campaigns or brands. I'm
talking about in general, because you can see that now brands are sort of going into communities and speaking to them within those communities. We're getting certain brands that are even targeting faith groups in order to speak to them, because they see that there's a community out there, and it takes people like some of these people that you've mentioned who've been good at what they're doing in the secular and also being bold at sharing their story as to what they believe in, to allow them to become probably influencers for some of these brands to communicate within the community.
I think in that sense, I'd say brands have I think they've definitely clocked onto, I guess, the nuances that are there, and how important it is to look at people on an individual basis, but also what is the makeup of we as a community and how we navigate. So I definitely think it's something that can't be ignored. I think it is something that is being suppressed a lot more, in all honesty, but with that said, still very much a big part of who we are. And I'm happy that it's part of the conversation now, and it's not being, I guess, brushed under the rug for the sake of being mainstream or commercial.
I would say, whilst I'm not a massive fan of Black History Month, I'll put that out there, because of the whole 1 month out of the year. And we work with an organisation called the Black Curriculum. It's a small charity who run by very young people, by the way, who are trying to get Black history as part of the national curriculum, and they're doing so I'm going to give a shout out for the Black Curriculum. If you've not heard about them, check them out, and they are a fantastic organisation who, and I believe, have the right approach to this. Should be part of the curriculum. Our history is part of British history. Never been taught. My generation, my parents' generation, weren't taught these things. I've learnt more through the Black Curriculum in a very short space of time that we've been working with than I probably had in my whole education. And you know, I think my generation are learning much more from, you know, the young generation today. I'm learning more from my kids than I learnt from my parents. Do you know what I mean? About history. They know more about Black history than I do. But it's not just a 1 month thing. It's this whole year round thing, and until we get it as part of what everybody learns, it's not just Black people who need to learn this history. Everybody needs to know this history.
I think I said that before. Like, you know, I know it's a bit controversial. Black history, do we have it? I think, like, look, you know, anything that gives a reason for us to just keep talking, let's kind of keep doing it. But absolutely, this should be, as I was giving the example, like, I've learned more about, you know, Leopold and DRC and what happened there. Like, no one taught me that in school. No one taught me anything about Black history. So absolutely, I think it needs to be all year round. But also as well, I don't think we need to wait for permission or wait for people to say, yes, okay, let's do that. Like, we as a community can be doing that. We can come together to do that and to really give it a reason for being, so that others outside, not just black people, watch and learn and listening. And I think right now, the generation, the times that we're in, it's a prime time. Everyone cares. Everyone's interested in black culture. Everyone knows who Stormzy is. Everyone knows what jollof is. Everyone, so I think we've got, this is a real opportunity to just kind of keep amplifying that, but amplifying it bigger and better. So I think, not, Black History, is it 1 month of the year? No, it should be all year round. But we should absolutely be doing that. And I think we as individuals can take that on board. I used to do things randomly, like cook jollof for my work colleagues, jollof and chicken, take it in, and I'll be educating them about different things. I think we can all take those little individual steps, especially right now, right? Especially as being black, as it were, being African is cool. Like, our fashion is cool, our food is cool, our musicians are cool. Like, do you see what I mean? So
I definitely agree. We need to basically, it's a month, and we should have this month. It is good that we have the month, but we should always remember to celebrate Black history throughout. I mean, it's our lives. It's us. It's in our DNA. Our history goes from our ancestors all the way to us. We live, we breathe it. So it's definitely something that we should be celebrating regularly. But the month should still stand. But like Wes kind of said, it needs to be something where everyone in the UK, doesn't matter what race you are, as long as you're going to school in this country, you learn about Black history. So I think the Black curriculum, knowing what they're doing, keep it up. It sounds great. So
I think that we should also be learning about, and I'd love your thoughts too. Obviously, when we talk about Black history, it's been quite a turbulent history. So, even, and I was having this conversation with some of my team, and the statement that a wing of the South African government put out 2 days ago or something after the Queen died, and they were basically like, yeah, she's died, yes, it's sad, but actually she has done worse for South Africa, has split us, like, may her and her ancestors all be responsible, kind of thing. And then you then go to learn that, that huge diamond on the crown was actually stolen from South Africa, and it's actually worth X millions.
I mean, if you start cherry picking, it dilutes the truth, it dilutes exactly where it is. So I think everything kind of has to be addressed.
That business of history is only taught through the eyes of the victor. So again, we can't blame the not just white British people, like I say, my parents, my generation. The history we were taught was one-dimensional. It was from the viewpoint of the victor. Let us learn the full story, the whole story. And unfortunately, that's what Black history is. It's that same story, but from our viewpoint, which is very different. And when people know the full story, oh my gosh, it's like a light bulb for them, and it's embarrassing. It's for the victor when the true story is told, but people don't know that they're told a lie, or they're only given one dimension. That is, they don't. I come back to the word ignorance. And I don't blame them for that, because it's what they're taught. So. Again, I'm going to plug the Black curriculum, because that's what they're trying to do, is just kind of balance it out. And here's the other side of the story.
I think this year's theme is action, not words, with this year's theme. But I think every year we try to push towards meaningful change. But I think just coming together with our allies, not just going alone, I think is how we're really going to see that change, and quicker than we would going alone.
It's interesting, because I'm just saying to myself that, yes, we have the debate about, do we celebrate Black History Month, but I'm just thinking, it should be a time of stock taking. We should take it as a celebration, as a time where we look back and ask ourselves, how have we progressed? Because we celebrate each year and say all sort of big things. Organizations get Black speakers to come in and have conversations in there, and that's it. Once the month is over, everything is dusted. But I think we should start pushing for actions. So we're saying that we're going for a 5-point action for 2024, and this is what we're discussing. Get policies in place. So come 2023, we can look back and say, we did say ABC.
Exactly.
How far have we gone with that? And then we can call leaders, government, organization, everything to action. And I think that's really where this sort of where we see progress.
Yeah.
And I like what you mentioned, Keziah, about talking about the negatives of the story, because a lot of time, because we're so uncomfortable to talk about the negatives, that's why people don't find our stories authentic, because it's like we're sugarcoating them and making it look like, oh yes, but we've got bad things happen to us, which has actually impacted on the way we, the people that we are today. And I think it's accepting that, not for us to feel sorry for ourselves, but accepting that so we can understand why we are what we are today, and then using that as a platform to better ourselves. I think that's why it's so important for us to talk about the negative experience that we've been through as a people.
It's the balance too, because sometimes it feels like when they speak about Black history or anything, it's just slavery, stuff like that. It's more than that. So it has to. It needs to have the balance, because it's not just all negative, but also positives.
And again, that's part of. I'm not going to mention them again, but Black people didn't start at slavery.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been such a wonderful conversation, and I've been so inspired. And I think, yes, we have some actions that we can take out of that. For those of you watching that are looking to get into the mainstream and saying to yourself, oh gosh, that we've had it. That you've got to be bold. Celebrate your difference. Literally. That's your rate card, basically. That's really what you can go out there and sell yourself. And also be confident in who you are. And obviously, to be confident in who you are means that you need to equip yourself, skill. So it's not a case of just going out there and just saying yes. So we need to really up our game in terms of skills. We know, we hear the thing that be twice as that. These are all sort of little things that we say to motivate ourselves to really go in there to make an impact. And I think this is real great conversation. Thanks, Wesley. Thanks, Keziah. Thanks, Gift and CHIOMA, for joining us in this conversation. And I'm sure we would definitely have to organize a second conversation on this. But thank you all so much for joining.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.